So my name is Carlos Pertolas, and I'm well online and on the FPV world. I'm Charpu. Basically, I'm just for me all of these radio control quadcopters is like a hobby that has been growing and growing because it's becoming more and more popular. But for the last few, like almost a year, I've been like posting videos online, and they've been really popular. So yeah, that's me. I think I started with probably quadcopter. Well, I think I probably started one of those tiny little ones. The tops. I don't remember which one. I remember having one of the what's the name, ladybird. The, and I remember flying that for a while just for fun, just flying it around, and that was kind of interesting. But I'm trying to remember if it was that first or anyway, something like that, something small and simple. And then I switched and decided to build my own 450 size quadcopter. I think it was the Flip, which is really strong, the Flip. And I put that one together and I was flying that for quite a while and just getting better and better and starting to do acro stuff. I remember I switched to a 4S setup and it was fun. You know, I'll do it outside work when I have time. A lunch because we have like a nice little grass area there that I don't know if this will work, but it's a nice area there. So at lunch I will go there and fly for like 20 minutes, half an hour, or like LOS, you know, just looking at the. But yeah, I did that for quite a while. I said at least like I had that quad for at least like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And I was just like flying once in a while, you know, maybe, you know, whenever I felt like it and I had some time. But then I started kind of losing a little bit of interest. It was fun, but I just didn't feel so connected to it and I didn't have much time. But then later on, it's when I discovered, you know, I started watching some of the videos, you know, some of the FPV mini video with the mini videos, because I have seen all FPV stuff, but I never seen like the mini quadcopters. And I saw some videos, you know, from all the classic guys, you know, like Blackout and Boris, and I saw some of those videos, and also Jazz from Lumineer. Saw some of those videos, and I was like, man, this is something that I want to get into it. So I finally built myself one of the QAV 250s, and that was it. You know, it was just so addicting from there on. I mean, the whole experience. I actually did try during those 3 years. I did try using this setup. I kind of put a FPV camera and a transmitter on my 450, and I used it for a little bit, but it didn't really connect. I was like, I tried it, and then I take off the FPV, and I kept flying the way I was flying it. But the mini thing is when it switched for me, and I did the transition, and then I felt like I was completely. Well, it really depends on the schedule of my work. If in the weekend, I'll try to fly at least one day on the weekend in the morning for hours, you know, 2-3 hours. But depends on how my job is like, because my job, I can be really busy. You know, what I do is I work in animation. So sometimes we have to finish projects and stuff like that, and then I don't have much time. But when it's a good time, you know, when I'm not too busy at work, I try to fly like I was telling you. I try to fly when I have lunch, a break at lunch. I will go out and fly a couple of batteries. You know, if I feel like in the mornings, some mornings I feel like I'm gonna wake up a little early and I'm gonna fly again for a couple of batteries, 2-3 batteries. So it really depends on how busy I am, but it's always on my mind. So if I find that there's a little bit of time that I can be like, okay, let's do it, then I wake up early and fly, or you know, I can't. I'm not like every morning or every, I'm just like always open to like, oh, there's a space here that I can use. Let's go and fly. Or there's, that's the idea. But I'll say at least I fly every week, once or twice every week. And if not, if not, you start kind of feeling it. If you don't fly, you feel like, oh man, you feel the need to fly. But it's been like lately it's been really busy because I'm gonna be moving to another place and I have a new job position, so it's like really busy. So now every time I go and fly, it's just this like, oh, finally I have some time to fly. So yeah, it varies, depends on the time of week. Yeah, I call it like freestyling, like I guess you can call it that. I mean, I enjoy racing as well, but it's something that I think the racing things are becoming really popular because that's what people connect to. Like regular people, they just see the racing and that's what they're into it. I personally prefer to just flying, like just freestyle with my friends and flying around. Kind of like, I don't know, just yeah, freestyle is a good word to define it. Just go to a place and start doing tricks, and I mean, really like similar to skating. Because the only problem with racing is that it adds that competitive element, and I'm okay with it. But I prefer the friendly, just flying around, and which is still even in racing right now, it's early enough. Everybody's friendly, and everybody is friends with each other and having fun, which I hope it will stay that way, and it won't start to the competitive side of things, and people start getting a little more, confronting each other on, because the moment you put prices on the line or money and stuff like that, things get a little more complicated. But at the same time, it adds excitement to the whole thing. So it's just a world that is evolving, and it will go a lot of different paths. I think there's paths for everybody, basically. How many quads I went through? Let me see. Like around 60. I'm kidding. I went through probably just it was just one quadcopter doing the whole thing. I went to the last video that I did on the abandoned hospital. I think that's the one that you're talking about. So that one, no, I only brought one quadcopter with me and on the holidays, but I did brought another lower plate just in case something happens. So I was flying in there for a couple of days without any issues. The only thing we were breaking is propellers, and then in one of the crashes, which is on one of my other videos, when I tried to go through the little hole, it hit the side of the thing and it fell down. That was like two or three floors down. So one of them got a little off the thing. So I changed the lower plate and I just keep flying. So basically, how many frames I went through it? It was only one, but I have to replace the lower plate after the big crash. It's pretty similar to what everybody's doing. You have your quadcopter, and then I have some spare parts to change stuff if any accident can happen. But yeah, that's what I use on that one. It's a lot of propellers, like a lot of bags of propellers. Those things go a lot. They go really fast. There's only two kind of propellers. The ones that you already broke, and the ones that are in the quad, and the ones that you're about to break. They always break, like it's constant, non-stop. So I have, that's the thing that sometimes that's the two things that take more space on my whole setup. It's probably the batteries and the propellers. The propellers, I just bring a bunch, and just in case, some days you use more, some days you use less, but it's what you're saying. There's the quadcopter, propellers, the batteries. Batteries take a lot of space and weight because there's so many, especially if we don't have chargers there, then you have to bring a lot of them. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, nothing special. I mean, I don't even use an external receiver. I use the one from the Fat Shark, works fine. So that's what I use. Yeah, nothing special. Again, it's really similar. I mean, I think everybody's doing kind of a similar thing. I I'll be up for races. I mean, the only thing that worries me about races, just being honest, is when I go to an event or something like that, there's always this like misconception of like, oh, Charpu is the best in the world. He's gonna beat everybody. And I'm not, I didn't put myself a thing of like, oh, he's really good. It's gonna be so hard to beat him. So every time I go to any of the races, there's this like expectation, like, oh man, this is gonna, and I don't like having the attention or nothing like that. So that's the kind of things that I have to get better at. But I enjoy it, and I will go to races. It's a lot of fun, especially if you're there with some nice people that are friendly and you just, on the process. And some people, when they create their the circuits to race, sometimes they're really like just not as much fun, missing the point of these things can go three-dimensional. So I think the future of the racing is going to be when we start using that three-dimensional aspect of flying quadcopters. So, anything going over trees, there can be like rings that you have to go down or up, that's what I'll get more excited about it. Because right now, when it's just a big 8 or even a big whatever, you get used to it, it becomes a little like just the same. So I think it will grow to something a lot more exciting. It's one of those things where you're driving on the, I mean, you watch other people's videos that are doing great things, and then you kind of go like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to try that. And other things, it's just like, to me, it's just, I'm driving on the car and I'm thinking like, oh, wow, just something comes in your head, like, what if I do this kind of move, what we try to do something like that, and I just like put it on my memory, and I'll be like, oh, let's try this that I thought about, and that's generally how you come up with these things. The other thing is just, again, when you get into that state, into that on the zone, in the zone where you're okay now, then you start like freestyling and figuring out, oh, this can actually be some kind of cool spin, or what if I go under this thing, or what about killing the motors as I, like. It really is like the free flow, just playing with it until you come up with something that might be fun, kind of thing. There's not a lot of thinking or mathematical thinking, because there's a lot of people online that do a lot of that as well. Like, hey, how much power we can get to this motor in order to do this and this and that. To me, it's just more like an art kind of thing, just flowing and painting. Yeah, it's just trying, but I think sometimes people put a little bit too much effort on the technical side of things, and they, instead of just flying, and they are looking for this like magic solution that you will put these ESCs and now everything is magical, and everything is perfect. I think you should worry less about the technical aspect. I mean, it's a big part of the hobby and the fun of it. But you have to balance in between flying and the technical aspect. There are certain things that are being opening a lot of possibilities, like one shot on keys and on ESCs, all kind of things that can handle one shot. The moment I switched to and start trying KISS ESCs with one shot ability, I did feel the difference on response. Still, the maneuvers that you can do without or with, you can do the same maneuvers. It's just like it feels a little more responsive. It feels better. So there's always things that you can experiment with and see if you like them. I personally am always a little behind on that stuff because I try to spend the very little time that I have on flying. So I'm always a little behind on things, and I'm always checking my other friends. Okay, what are people doing? Okay, they're trying the new PID controllers. Okay, I'm gonna start trying those things now. But personally, I started grabbing somebody's settings, probably was Jazz from Lumineer when I got my QAB, adjust them a little bit for my taste, and then slowly evolve to now, which I generally like tune them myself or grab some PIDs from somebody that, or grab a setup from somebody that I like their flying. For example, right now I'm using Cobra motors on one of my setups, another one, and I enjoy that. And I have a setup that I feel pretty comfortable with, so I'm sticking with that one. No worrying for a little bit. Maybe I will play with the controllers, the PID controllers. But other than that, when I have something flying that flies really nice, and I don't feel like nothing is limiting me from doing something, then I kind of stick with it and try to fly instead of, instead of just trying to tweak it until, yeah, set it up, fly for a little bit, adjust. I mean, I have like I get a new quad that I built, and I maybe spend, let's say, an hour, half an hour tuning it until it feels correct. And then it's just about flying. And maybe after a couple of days, I'll say, oh, I'm going to adjust a little bit here and there. But I don't, a lot of it comes from you getting used to as well the tuning and the way it's flying. So it's not just that you're going to change the tuning and it's going to behave perfect and that's it. It's a connection between the tuning and yourself with how it works, So I try to spend more. Now that I have limited time, I prefer to spend the time flying than changing motor, building more quiet. Yeah, it just takes too much time to do all of that. I'm personally not that worried about the HD side of things. If it was HD, it would be amazing. But to me, what it would be amazing is something that I can just have the confidence to go through walls, trees. That to me will be more interesting. If I can keep the same quality of video that I have right now, but I can go through walls, through buildings, through trees without worrying about that to me will be like a big improvement over for the FPV in general, the FPV community. And then the HD will be also amazing, because then you'll be able to just, go through even smaller gaps or seeing, it will just be better. But my main thing is really like the penetration, being able to go through things without worrying about your signal, that to me is more important than how good your quality is. Well, some of the things that we mentioned earlier, like don't worry, like try to get fly. You have to keep flying, try to get flying. Don't worry too much about the technical aspect. You're going to learn it through the process, and there's a lot of resources online, so you don't need, you can just go online and check or grab PIDs, but you just concentrate on the flying and just not losing the encouragement, because every time when you start, there is a clear wall that you're going to feel like, it's like, man, this is so hard. I don't know how high I am. I don't know how, and that thing is going to disappear. You just have to keep constant and just keep doing it, and it will just become more natural to you. But other than that, just be safe as well. Have fun, but be safe, because we're under a lot of problems legally. So always be safe. Fly in areas. Have a spotter. Fly in areas that are safe, and be some common sense. That's all you need to do, and just keep doing it. I mean, it's the thing with this hobby is that the moment you try it, if you pass that threshold of days where you feel like this is so hard, I don't know if I'm getting into it, and then you pass those few days, and then you're gonna be like, oh man, I can't stop doing this thing. So yeah, just keep experimenting. I mean, there's a lot of people that are putting really nice comments and being really supportive of what I'm doing with this, and it feels great to feel like there's other people out there that are like flying because they saw my videos. But I mean, now I'm seeing those people progress and do their things, and now I'm inspired with their videos. So this is like a great community right now. So it's like great time to join and enjoy, basically. Well, just generally, if there's a work, we have breakfast at work. So sometimes, if I'm lucky and they have some eggs, I will have some scrambled eggs. Yeah, that really helps. I really recommend it. Don't worry about big motors or ESCs. Just have some scrambled eggs for breakfast, and you'll be fine. Man.